So the new trailer for War Within dropped. Starts out with some dramatic intros into the new factions. Here we have the Horde Dwarves. Right here, it looks like we've got the new class for Diablo. And of course, you know the Na'vi from Avatar. I gotta tell you, I love this armor with the actual leather straps and stuff. Would love to see some of that. I saw someone say it looks like this guy's starting his lawnmower. That's great. Little blood potion there, and then here that brings out the aliens. We're gonna need some of those Marines to go in and clear them out. Now I want to pause here for a second because I was actually very excited about this part. Can I say that? And I want to tell you why. I loved Suramar. You guys didn't like Suramar? Yes, you did. Suramar was awesome. I'm hoping that this big underground city with all the bugs is like Suramar, and you actually got to run around and do quests. That would be awesome. If it's just a hub, that's going to suck. I don't think the bug city will be as cool as Suramar was, but I like the concept of having like a whole city zone. And I've always been shocked that none of the other capital cities have ever gotten the Suramar treatment. I thought it would be an awesome idea to give all of the capital cities, flesh them out and really blow them up like Suramar. But no. We just kept going island to island. Maybe those of you who paid to play it can tell me if that's going to be like Suramar. I hope it is. And here we go with the Hot Topic villain. So this is part 1 of the World Saga. Now you'll remember from the moment they announced this, I said, uh-oh, right? Because Dragonflight didn't sell well, and I was just flabbergasted that they thought, hey, our game didn't really sell well. I know what we should do. We should build upon that poorly selling game and do a 3-part trilogy. And I got a lot of hate because people said I was being negative. But look here. You think I'm hateful? Come read the comments under here. And not just any comments, but the ones that have the most upvotes. Probably the most non-WoW trailer Blizzard ever made. Somehow this cinematic doesn't feel like it belongs to WoW. The saddest video I've watched on this channel. Look at this. This new update for Raid Shadow Legends looks so sick. Oh, y'all are brutal. So don't blame me. Don't tell me that I'm the hateful one. There's plenty of people that are not very impressed by this cinematic. And I am a huge fan of Warcraft cinematics. I think they do some of the best cinematics. I didn't even play Diablo 4, but I about died. I watched that Diablo 4 trailer with Lilith getting summoned probably 90 times. I thought that was so badass. So I am a huge fan of Blizzard cinematics, and this is about as disappointing of one as I've ever seen. I don't see the hype for this game anywhere. I hope I'm wrong because I want it to be successful, because I actually really like retail. I think it has a lot of cool things to it. But I think we've lost our vision, and I think we've lost our connection to the world of Warcraft. And this new world they've built just makes you feel like we're most certainly not in Kansas anymore. But then that reasonableness hits you and you're like, well, I didn't really care for the cinematic, and it seems like a lot of other people didn't really care for it either, but there's still the pre-patch event. I'll go log on and see how that's going. And wow, talk about going from disappointment to disappointment. This pre-patch event sucks. And this is coming from someone who loves pre-patch events. And I got receipts on that because I did videos on the Dragonflight pre-patch event, which I thought was decent. But I loved the Legion one, was my favorite. Actually, my all-time favorite is the Plague from Lich King. I thought that was a blast. I don't give a shit. People are like, it was so annoying. No, it was awesome. And it was so thematic, and it made you really feel like you were going into the Plague and the undead were coming. It was awesome. I don't care what anyone says. That's fact. That is objective truth, that event was awesome. And if you didn't like it, that's a you problem. So you log on, and right away, you could tell that some things weren't great. So aside from all the warband problems and all the glitches and bugs, they'll sort those out, right? I also had some transmog glitches, but in the end, it just gave me an extra big hammer. So to be honest, I was wildly comfortable with this glitch and even kind of grew to like it. I continued on to do the quest. Now I'm on the Moonguard server, so if you don't know this, RP servers don't do sharding like other servers because you don't want to split up the community that's trying to play together and all that stuff. And it's one of the things I love about being on an RP community. However, during events where literally everyone in the game is going to be in one place, you're probably going to have to kick in the sharding. And the lag was awful. Now, I want to go on record and say that I don't mind a little lag. Lag is love. That's what lag is. Everybody's coming back. They're all together. I love when the world is full. One of my big complaints about retail is that the world is empty. The capital cities are empty. But then here comes the pre-patch and we're all piled up in one big WoW family. And I love it. I love it how alive the world feels. And I think the greatest strength of an MMO is always community. And seeing the community in the world where you're at is just so cool. It's one of the unique gaming experiences and I love it. But this level of community can get a little overwhelming and I was DCing a lot. So probably going to have to shard it up. And so then I start looking at the gear and I'm like, all right, so I'm going to need 5,000 of this, 3,000 of that. Looks like a pretty cool Tmog, the purple Dalaran Defender set. I'd like to have that. Then I head out, right, and I start farming. And what do I see? 1s and 5s. Are you kidding me? And then I start doing the math. I mean, I get the weekly, so I get 1.5 times 3. That puts me at 4.5. And that's not even one whole piece. I'm going to be out here farming for hours. Are you kidding me right now? You made a sweaty pre-patch event? It's like they sat down and actually ran the metrics. How can we make sure each player plays 12 hours a week during the pre-patch? Why in the hell wouldn't you just let people come back, check out the changes made to their talent tree, blow up some mobs for an hour or two and get their gear? I mean, there's got to be a happy middle ground here. Maybe 5s and 10s? On the mob rep, if you're really, I mean, even that, it seems a little excessive to me, but 1 and 5, and you need 5,000 for a few pieces? I mean, what the hell? To me, the whole purpose of the pre-patch is to generate some positivity and, hey, WoW's back, the community's back, we're heading into a new expansion together. But now when you either go to the WoW forums or the subreddit, look, the pre-patch event is so bad. This pre-patch event shows that Blizzard still doesn't respect our time. It's just post after post everywhere of how ridiculous of a grind this is for a pre-patch. Oh, and by the way, let's also mention that it's an hour and a half between bosses. Are you kidding me? Another thing, I waited an hour and a half for a boss in the Searing Gorge and the event didn't even spawn. So now my time's really just being wasted. And that's a lot of frustration to be experiencing in what's supposed to be just a warm-up to the next expansion. I mean, what the hell is going on at the top here? You're building World of Warcraft expansions that don't even look like they're in the World of Warcraft. On top of that, you're throwing out new factions like candy at a parade on top of the pile of other ones we've burned through and helped. And there's no connection to any of them. All we do is farm the reps so we can get the Tmogs or whatever. Your pre-patch event is a grindy mess. And the number of glitches and bugs and everything between warbands to Tmogs to disconnects. And here's the most frustrating thing. Whenever you criticize this stuff, people will tell you, well, just go play Classic. But here's the thing for the stupid people that say that. I actually love retail. I love my transmogs. I love a lot of my mounts. I love my talent system and the complexity of classes in retail. I love how they play. I think dungeons and everything have really just become an AoE fest, and I'd like to see that dramatically toned down, but that's a talk for another video. I love how easy it is to find a group with the group finder and the solo queue and the solo shuffle. And now I'm going to have Battleground Blitz to queue. I love all those additions. And I really kind of like a lot about the gearing. Obviously, I have my complaints and I think the gear treadmill's gotten a little too excessive. But there's a lot about the gearing I really like and enjoy, like the vault. I think that's cool. So there's a ton of things I love about retail. But the things I don't like about retail, like the complete detachment from anything that even feels Warcrafty now. I mean, we got orcs in bikinis and sunflower staves. And I pointed this out in the Dragonflight video I did called the Dragonflight Divide, where there was a group of the community that is completely smitten with this new direction from the WoW team. And then you kind of have the old guard like me that are like, yuck. However, I still greatly appreciate a lot of the upgrades that you get in retail that value my time a little better, although that's being challenged even in the pre-patch now, and just a lot of quality of life things that I mentioned earlier. So there's a lot I like about retail, but I would love to see them take the retail game and put it in, listen to this, the world of Warcraft. Wouldn't that be cool? Could you imagine if they took all of the great things from retail and put them in a World of Warcraft game? This looks like a company came up with something that was going to compete with WoW, like their own MMO, and they were like, here's our version of WoW. And the reality is none of it's too big of a deal. If we all get into the War Within and it's just amazing, we'll forget all of this stuff within a month. We're pretty quick to move on to the next drama anyway. No matter what we think about it, whether you're all hyped up or you're really frustrated at this point, I think we can all agree that this War Within's getting kicked out the door no matter what's wrong with it. And the cracks are already showing, so it's a little concerning, but this thing's getting kicked out the door because that's the goal now. And we can be assured that at least for the first 4 to 6 weeks, they'll tune it up and do things until they stop so that they can start working on the next thing they're kicking out the door. And we saw that time and time again in Dragonflight, where a whole season was left completely untouched, even though there were huge outliers like Vengeance Demon Hunters or Druids in PvP, and they just left it to hurry up and kick out Niffin Sniffin or Dragon Archaeology or whatever else they were doing. And I imagine that will follow suit here because we're already seeing the cracks in this expansion, and there's a lot of them. And if you think they're getting all this tuned up in 30 days, you're out of your damn mind. We are going hot, and there's going to be some problems. There always are. And they'll probably get a lot of them under control. But, boy, it looks rough. And just the decisions that are being made are kind of shocking to me. In closing, I'll just say that retail feels very awkward right now. You have a game with amazing gameplay, for the most part, amazing gearing systems, but at its core, it's lost its soul. And in the end, I actually think that might be the hardest thing to fix. Vocal Home out.